Hi, and welcome back to my channel, Opus Abstract. We're now in the evening hours, early evening, after 6 o'clock. And I was posing the question with these Japanese maples that I've got. Can they take full sun? Do they need partial shade? These kinds of questions. Now this Geisha Gone Wild, which I would say is one of my favorites that I've got. I've talked to people that have this tree, and they say they've got it in full sun. This one just seems to get brighter and brighter pink in this full sun. This gets shade usually after 4:30, 5 o'clock. Right now the sun's starting to go down, so it's kind of getting just tipping of sun. But it seems to be doing good now. And so I think it's going to be okay. I'm still kind of new to the Japanese maple world. I had a Japanese maple when I lived in northern Kentucky, zone 6A. And it was one of those weeping kind. I couldn't even tell you what kind it was now because I didn't know enough about them at the time. But it was in a lot of sun and did fine. But it did have some shade in the afternoon. Here in Alabama, we're a zone 7B/8A in this northwest corner of Alabama in Lauderdale County. So it's a different ball game for me. My celebration, Acer Palmatum celebration, is reticulated, meaning that it's, let's see how it's, you can see different color variations. And from what I understand, it's sort of like the Ghost series. Sort of a pink version of Purple Ghost, kind of. And really, this one should get morning sun and then a reprieve of afternoon shade. Now, it's still doing okay here. We did put it in the ground here. Right now, it's in full sun, but only for a time. Now, in the morning, it gets some sun. And in the afternoon, with this tree, this pecan tree, it casts a dappled shadow over this and the Anne-Irene back there, and most of that garden back there. And so for several hours in the afternoon, it's in dappled shade. And then after about 4:30 or so, then as the sun moves around to go over to set over here, it goes into full sun again. So the question is, not sure if it will be a suitable place for it right here. And as it happens, you can put things in the ground and think you've got the right spot. Because of the dapple shading, I thought it would be okay. Now, I love this tree. It's another one of my favorites too, and I would hate to have it burnt up. I would just hate to, jeopardize any of that. I know it can take sun, but the burning when we hit hot summer might be a little much. And I do notice some of the leaves are kind of crispy a little bit even now, but it's just a gorgeous tree, and I don't want to lose that at all, or do something to ruin it. So thinking about that, let me tell you what we're doing here. And then this is Anne-Irene, which has yellow and this one has beautiful fall colors too. So this one's in full sun right this minute, but this is like the last remaining sun of the day. This will be setting, and then then the shadow will creep up, and all of this, you can see now that the celebration is actually going into a deep shadow now. So, these are things I have to think about This garden is a, sorry about my shadow. This garden here is a partial shade. And it does get dappily. It's full-on shade, and then it gets dappily shade. And then it gets in the sun like it is right now. But last year it was not a problem, and all these things were in there last year. So, you know, they seem to do pretty good. Even the Japanese fern back there. So these are questions I ask myself. So looking at this spot here, I've got my Anne-Irene. In the foreground you can see Celebration, and then by the shed down there you can see Geisha Gone Wild. So as I sit in my, if I'm in my room here, my bedroom behind me, I can look out and I can see a, you know, tree, like that. My thought is I've got sort of significant amount of bare space. This side is not where the septic field is over there, but even still, Japanese maples don't have a invasive root system or a deep root system that would cause problems with that. In fact, I read that if you have a septic field, they're one of the trees you could plant there. But I have, I'll turn around here. I have, see how the shadow's coming in now, but right over here, or right in this area, I was thinking about putting another Japanese maple, maybe strategically, you know, at an angle that as it grows, then it would cast a shadow too. As the sun comes around, it would cast a shadow as well. So trying to figure that out, trying to figure out about bringing shade in, maybe even with other kinds of trees. On this side, I don't want tree after tree back here, but giving that some thought. Trying to figure out what that's going to look like, or if that's possible. I did talk to my husband about bringing in like an Emperor 1, which I know can handle the sun and all that here, and it gets big. It can get like, you know, maybe 20, 30 feet possibly. And so that would be a significant tree that could cast some shadow as well over my regular gardens here too. Which, I mean, a lot of this stuff can take sun, but we're talking, you know, a whole lot of sun in the summertime. And when it gets like really badly hot, it may be hard on anything. Maybe not a cactus or something, but you know, a lot of this stuff, not this garden here, but we've been here almost 2.5 years. So, you know, we've had the vegetable gardens there, and we've had different things, and it's all been fine. This garden under my window has been here for the whole time. So, you know, some of these things have made it just fine. So again, questions you ask, or things you ponder as you're figuring out your garden and what you want to do with it. And if you like Japanese maples like I do, and you want to collect several cultivars and have them, then you have to start thinking about what kind of shade system am I going to have, what kind of reprieve from the hot afternoon sun am I going to have, especially if you want some of these interesting cultivars, variegated ones, or Ghost series, or things like that, you know, reticulateds. Some of those just can't handle the really hot sun. This area here, right now I have these in pots, and for the foreseeable future. But these are, this one's a variegated one, the Manyo no sato. And from what I understand on this one, it is not going to be advised to put that in a hot afternoon sun situation. It can't handle that. So far, it's getting some sun right now, but it's very dappily because of where it is right now. And then this one here is green, but it's called fall red tips. Let's see, fall red tips, yes. So, you know, I'm not sure about that one. I don't know. I would probably speculate that most Japanese maples could use a little bit of shade in the afternoon. of some kind. So these are things I'm thinking about. I also have 2 pots here that are thinking about things. So, and of course with pots, you can move them in and out of sun. So you do have a setup where, you know, you put them on rollers or something if they're heavy, and you can roll them into the sun in the morning and out of the sun. So there is a little bit more flexibility with a potted Japanese maple if you're able to move it when necessary, or if it's strategically located in a spot that will get afternoon shade if it's a sensitive one. But there are several varieties, in fact more than I knew, that can handle full-on sun, and apparently Geisha Gone Wild is one, which is down there, and I hope that's true because that's where it is. But you know, there's a lot of, I have a Sangu Kaku out front, and that's supposed to be able to handle a lot of sun. It also gets reprieve too because it gets cast, a shadow gets cast from the other pecan tree that's over there. So, got the dogs out here playing. Thoughts. I also have an area on the side of my house where my garage is that gets full-on morning sun and then goes into deep shade, you know, somewhere around probably noonish, noon 30ish. So, I mean, that'll be an ideal spot where we're going to make some gardens over there, which definitely, if I need to, I could move this celebration over there. And maybe it might do a little bit better because it does look like it's starting to think twice about where it's at. I don't know. And again, putting in some trees that could shade them. So, one thing or another. For sure, I'm getting another tree here. So anyway, I'll just go quickly around here. We'll just talk about some of these partial shade gardens that I've got. Planted a coral, excuse me, a coral bell, heuchera. That one's called Wildberry. I thought it was so pretty, purple, pink flowers. And it just kind of pops in that area with these colors, with the greens that are around it, pink, the autumn ferns back there. So that was fun. And in fact, I liked it so well that I decided to get a couple more and put them in here since I have a lot of chartreuse in this garden. But these are called Forever Purple, so they're a little different variety, but they're still purple, which is a big pop. And actually, with the sun shining across, it's not as easy to see them right now. So, and this Virtus green lace leaf, it is mostly it's in the shade a lot, and it gets the dapple shade. It's only just now really getting more full-on sun for just a short period of time, and actually it tends to be a little bit cooler at this time of night. You know, even 60s or so, you know, isn't bad, or 70s, or even 80 at night. You know, it's not as bad. But listen to me making excuses. Yeah, it can be oppressive all day long when it's high humidity, absolutely. But this tree's been here now. I got it last year at this time, so it's been here, and it has just doubled in growth, maybe tripled in growth. I mean, it has really put on a lot of growth. It was just a really small tree when I got it, so it's pretty happy where it's at. So it's doing just fine. And my banana appeals are coming back. They had gotten frostbite, you know, when we had such bad weather, but now they're getting all this new growth on them, and they're doing just what I told you in one of my videos about how they would leaf out and get full and be that chartreuse green that I love so much. That's the reason I got them. So having that purple in there is definitely a contrast. You know, it's a color that pops back there and gives you some interest, since I have all these other shades of green, other chartreuse, and a blue fescue just for, you know, hey, look at that. So, and some variegated carex. Maybe it's a mess. Maybe it's a hot mess. I don't know. I think, you know, it comes together. I don't think there's anything really you could clash in a garden too much. Really liking the Japanese fern back here. And that was just a little leaf. And now it's really come out back there. So it's loving that spot. And it does get some sun, you know, like right now. So anyway, trying to figure out, been here almost, I'll be here 3 years in October, this coming October in 2024. So it's still a learning curve for me, figuring out our zone with USDA, doing an update to their zone maps of what climates and things. We were a 7B here, and they said now we're a 8A, but I don't think that I would hold a lot of clout in that. I would still say we're real close to the border of Tennessee. Matter of fact, it's probably about 20 miles away if you went up 43 here. So it's very close, and they are a 7B. So knowing that, I would say that my backyard is most likely a 7B most of the time. So the rest of the garden is waking up and doing its thing. I have this is a Japanese maple seedling, not a grafted tree. So kind of like a mixed breed dog. Its parentage, not so sure. It's marked as just a seedling. Was told that it might be a bloodgood seedling that it came from. It is in full sun here. It is thriving. This will be its second year. I got it at this time last year, and so it's doing really well. And so I call it my beautiful surprise seedling. As the new growth comes out, and it looks really pretty. And when it was first leafing out, it was a kind of a green like this one with red edges. Now it's kind of going into more of a darker green. So I think as the leaves mature, that for the most part they'll be this darker green. So they'll be pretty. And so we're looking forward to watching that grow. It's gotten quite tall since I've gotten it. Again, probably doubled in growth. So let's say this is a fast growing seedling. Oh, what is that? Maybe hybrid vigor, like they say with mixed breed dog. It's hybrid vigor. So anyway, one thing I have learned with perennials, I heard it said, is that with most perennials, including my encore azaleas, which seem to be sometimes slow to start, but then they come on. They say the first year they sleep, the second year they creep, and the third year they leap. So, and the same person said there's grace in gardening, and I think that applies to plants as well, to give them grace, because they will in their own time get in their roots and get established, and then they'll perform better. But it's just that first year trying to get everything to live, one, and to thrive, which is another. So I didn't want to do a full video tonight. I will do another video at another time. It's starting to get, sun's starting to go down. And I will say that I got some drift roses, which are called coral drift. So that's new in here. And so some of the encore azaleas, the sunburst is starting to bloom out now. They're drying up and they'll fall off, and then it'll go through a time and it'll regenerate again and bloom again, just as encore jewel back there will. And the twists have not bloomed yet, so they're due to do that. And the majesties down there, they're not blooming anymore, but they will come on. See how it's getting a little bit starting to lose my sun out there. So it's actually a very pretty night. It's clear today, so it does make for some pretty filming. Oh, one more thing, that's a little lime hydrangea and a bobo and another bobo. So Those have completely leafed out. They're full. They should be putting buds on. And they usually don't bloom until maybe June, mid-June or so. So they're later, but then they go into fall. So they will bloom, and they will be beautiful, I certainly hope. Sorry, people are getting off work and they come down this county road. And some of them come down this county road rather quickly. So you see that the Goldfire pink honeysuckle vine is in full bloom. You can even see the sun going through it there. It's climbing up the arbor arch, and I suspect by the end of summer it'll be completely covering it. I've already had a few hummingbirds coming to it, so I know that it'll attract them. And these flowers, since there's so many of them, actually smell wonderful, wonderful. Some annuals, knockout rose over here, and the Marc Chagall is putting on buds. So this isn't actually a May garden tour, but it kind of is in a way, because I'm out here and we're looking at it. But that will conclude that. And so the question I pose is, did I put my maples in the right place? This one does get a lot more dappled sun, or shade. This one, Anne-Irene, is blocked more from the direct sun, except for right now, than Celebration. Celebration is in the sun as the sun sets, but it gets a lot of dappling sun for several hours during the afternoon, while Geisha Gone Wild is, for the most of the day, is in full sun until later, unless we have a lot of cloud cover, of course, but it's potentially in full sun and from like morning sun till late afternoon, 4:30, 5 o'clock-ish. And of course, beautiful surprise seedling, or over there, my little mystery tree, that is in full sun and doing fine. So we'll see. All right, well, that concludes my video for today. Like, subscribe, come back, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Have a wonderful evening, and happy May Day.